Hi, I'm Steven and I reverse engineer video games. Recently, I was reverse engineering the game camera in The Witcher 3 when I noticed something strange. See how when I move the camera around Geralt in this direction, this number keeps counting up? Conversely, if I switch direction, see how that same number keeps counting down? This is due to a bug in the programming logic of the game's code for calculating left and right movement of the camera, also known as yaw. By the way, don't worry if you don't understand what that number means. It's just a value stored in a very specific place in the computer's memory that the game uses to represent left and right camera movement. Back to this value being bugged, ideally there would be some sort of condition that checks the value and resets it after a full rotation is detected. And though this is a type of bug I'm used to seeing in plenty of games, some particularly odd behavior becomes possible in The Witcher 3 once this number reaches a high or low enough value. Instead of moving my mouse in one direction for an unbearably boring amount of time, I'll manually set the value to demonstrate. As you can see here, trying to move the camera results in less precise, more rigid movement. The farther you move towards an extreme, the faster you have to move the camera for the calculation to take place. Eventually what happens is you can no longer move the camera. The number being so large or small ultimately makes the mathematical instructions being used to calculate this value break down. Perhaps I'll determine exactly how and why in a future video. Now, while that's certainly an interesting bug that can be coaxed into existence via the game alone, it prompted me to wonder, since this bug has to do with rotation, and there are other objects in the game world that rotate, would this same bug apply to, say, the rotation of Geralt? If so, what happens if we make it happen? Well, after a bit more futzing around in memory, lo and behold, yes, the same problem we see happen with the camera's rotation also happens with the rotation of Geralt's character. And since the game is optimized to use the same instructions to do similar things between similar objects, in this case Geralt and non-playable characters, the same is the case with seemingly just about anything in the game that rotates. Thus, once a high or low enough value has been reached, the condition necessary to lock rotation is satisfied. From the perspective of standard gameplay, this bug is meaningless because it's caused by a condition that would be the result of an incredibly unlikely circumstance. Depending on which system you're playing the game, it would take you quite a long time to rotate either the camera or Geralt in the same positive or negative direction to make the buggy behavior happen. So not impossible, but very unlikely to accidentally discover. Having said that, you know who just might be interested in that type of time investment? Speedrunners. You see, some particularly wonky conditions become possible once Geralt's yaw value reaches its necessary state to become broken. For instance, no matter which direction you try to move, you're locked into facing one direction. However, when attacking, you will stay facing one direction while moving around, but the character will still move in whichever direction you point the camera. Another oddity is you can climb up onto thin air if stuck facing the right way, because while Geralt will be close enough to trigger a climbing animation, he won't move in the direction to climb onto anything. There may be more potential here for clipping into locations or combining with certain other key presses, movements, etc. I'm not a speedrunner, so I'm not sure if this will actually be useful, let alone for a world record run, given the time it would probably take to satisfy reaching this break condition. However, I thought it would be fun to share in the event that it does serve a purpose. While we're tossing ideas around, you could also use something like this as part of a condition to satisfy the requirements of an Easter egg. For instance, if you hold right or left for long enough to make this value reach a certain number, then that will trigger something to happen in the game. The possibilities here are endless. And thinking beyond The Witcher 3, how might this same bug impact other games? Luckily, thanks to tooling like disassemblers, debuggers, and memory scanners, we're able to directly glean insights like this instead of playing guesswork and trying something like, oh hey, I wonder what happens if I hold right for 8 bajillion days and 32 seconds. Let's try it out. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this brief look into a fun little bug that may or may not result in something the speedrunning community finds worth exploring further. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see me do more like it, even possibly further exploring the technical nature of things like this, let me know via the comments below and by clicking the like and subscribe buttons. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Take care.